It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video for season 11 of The Walking Dead. On this video we're going to be taking a look at who will Sebastian kill on the TV show and whether Sebastian's introduction into the story is a confirmation that we are getting an adaptation of a major comic death at this point in the story. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, if you're not a subscriber and enjoyed the content by the end, consider subscribing to join our community, share and smash the like button and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right in. Obviously, if you haven't watched season 11 episode 7, you probably don't want to watch this video because it will spoil a minor moment from this episode for you, which is the introduction of a comic character named Sebastian. If you have watched the episode, you know that Sebastian is the son of the leader of the Commonwealth, Pamela Milton, and in episode 7 you saw that he was on a date with his girlfriend when a few walkers approached, and that's where Eugene and Stephanie proceeded to kill the walkers and saved Sebastian and his girlfriend. Now Sebastian is just as much of a brat in the TV version as he was on the comic version, so it definitely looks like they're following his comic storyline. And just in case you missed it, all of this was a plan by the Commonwealth, specifically Lance Hornsby. Lance Hornsby made sure that there were no Commonwealth soldiers around to help Sebastian, and he made sure to send Eugene and Stephanie to the area where Sebastian was at so that Eugene would have to save Sebastian. And also, knowing Sebastian, Lance probably knew exactly how Sebastian would react, and he knew that that might be a way to get a reaction out of Eugene, which it did. And obviously all of this was a plan to get Eugene arrested so they could try to manipulate him to get information out of him about his community. Now, the biggest question that comic fans have at this point is whether Sebastian's introduction is a confirmation that we are definitely getting a major comic death in the story. To be completely honest with you, I think it's 50-50. Bringing Sebastian in doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna follow the comic story when it comes to Rick's final comic arc. But at the same time, bringing him in is a great sign that they may be going in that direction. So I'm 50-50 on it at this point. Now, in case you are not a comic reader and don't know what we're talking about, there is a major story involving Sebastian, Rick Grimes, and Dwight that leads to two major character deaths. I will go through it briefly. So when the group gets to Commonwealth, Dwight actually threatens Pamela Milton, the Commonwealth's leader, which leads to Rick executing Dwight on the spot. Doing that leads to Sebastian, Pamela Milton's son, going after Rick Grimes and shooting him dead. Now, there isn't a clear indication why Sebastian kills Rick, but it's very likely that he does that because he sees Rick Grimes as someone who can't be controlled, as someone who may end up taking control if he wants to. So to stop the threat before it becomes a threat, Sebastian decides to just execute Rick Grimes. Now, when it comes to the TV version, I have said this several times and I will say it again, they can't do the Rick Grimes death the exact same way. They could adapt it in some ways, but it won't be the exact same death. But with that said, there's two characters that I feel are extremely likely of getting those two comic deaths. Dwight's comic death and Rick's comic death. Those two characters being Father Gabriel and Aaron. Looking at Father Gabriel, I think it's more likely that he'll get Dwight's comic death, and the reason for that is there's some setup and some subtle hints about that already. One of these hints is something that Rosita talked about in previous episodes, where she talked about a nightmare that she had about Abraham, that he was trying to warn her and he was shot dead before he could say anything. And I think that is definitely a clue that someone Rosita loves will go through that exact experience. They would be shot dead in a very shocking and unexpected manner. And obviously, the only person that's close enough to Rosita for this to make sense is Gabriel. Now, the other tease or hint at this is something that happened in one of the bonus episodes of season 10. In the episode, we saw a new character named Mace. In that episode, Aaron and Gabriel ran across this survivor named Mace, and what ended up happening is Gabriel killed Mace when he didn't need to, and he did it in a very unexpected manner. And I think that could be a subtle hint that Gabe himself would die in a similar fashion. And the other part of it also is we have seen Gabe hot-headed a little bit. On the flip side, I think Aaron is more likely to get Rick's death. And the reason for that is we've seen already that Aaron is desperate and he wants a safe community for his daughter Grace, and he's just looking to make sure Alexandria doesn't fall. But obviously it will fall at some point, and he will have to take his daughter and relocate to a new community. And I think because of his past experiences and the fact that we have seen him get hot-headed a little bit, when we get to that situation, Aaron would be desperate enough to go to the extreme measure of executing someone in his own camp. Obviously, it would be Gabriel here. Now, one other thing is that we have seen Aaron become very hot-headed, especially in that scene where he was torturing the Whisperer. So we are beginning to see the darker side of Aaron, and unlike previous seasons where he's always been a nice guy, we have seen him go to extreme measures to get what he wants. So I think it's likely that he'll get Rick's comic arc where he executes Gabriel, and he will obviously end up getting shot by Sebastian. One other thing I do want to mention is that going back to bonus episode of season 10 where we saw Gabe and Aaron together, that could have been a early build up towards this moment between Gabriel and Aaron. But I'm definitely very intrigued to see whether they are going to go that route and how they're going to make it work, because even though I just went through it right now with you guys, there is a possibility that it won't work. Or what I'm trying to say is that it's extremely easy for them to screw it up. Because of that, I'm hoping if they do this, they do it right, and I'm intrigued to see how it's all going to come together. But I'm also very interested to know everyone's thoughts and opinions about this. Do you think Sebastian's introduction is a confirmation that we are getting the Rick and Dwight comic deaths? And who do you think is going to get those deaths? Do you think at this point it's likely that Gabe is going to get Dwight's death and Aaron is going to get Rick's death? Or do you think they're going to go a different direction? So share your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join our community, share and smash the like button, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.